Welcome to Hannity, and tonight new fallout over Hillary Clinton's many missteps at last night's Commander-in-Chief forum. Clinton is being criticized for saying her vote in the Iraq war was a mistake. Imagine if you're the parent of one of the, 5,000 people that lost their lives. Take a look.
I think that the decision to go to war in Iraq was a mistake. And I have said that my voting to give President Bush that authority was, from my perspective, my mistake.
Clinton also promised voters that she'd never put U.S. troops on the ground in Iraq and Syria, flat out ignoring or simply not knowing the fact that thousands are actually already there. Watch this.
We are not putting ground troops into Iraq ever again, and we're not putting ground troops into Syria. We're going to defeat ISIS without committing American ground troops.
And the big whopper? Well, Clinton served up a new excuse about her private email server scandal. We're going to have a reaction to all of that later. But first, joining us now in studio, a rare in-studio appearance. Oh, how nice of you to grace us with your presence.
Oh, thank you.
The editor-in-chief, LifeSet.com, Fox News contributor, nationally syndicated radio host Laura Ingraham. All right, now, if I was the parent of nearly 5,000 families that lost loved ones in Iraq, or maybe my son had his legs blown off, but maybe he was disfigured or his arms are blown off, and I'm saying, here's the lady that voted to send me to war. We won Ramadi, Baghdad, Mosul, Fallujah, and Tikrit. Oh, but it was a mistake. But we can learn from it. It's imperative we learn. I would be apoplectic.
She's trying to appeal to the Bernie Sanders voters out there. Some of them, we know, are at least turning more favorably to Trump now, Sean. So she wants to peel those people away. And she knows that a lot of these Republicans who used to be with Bush are closer to her on some of these issues than Trump. So she's walking a tightrope here on what she thinks on foreign policy. She's trying to appeal to the Bernie people. And she's trying to get some of these Republicans to go over to her as well. And I think she's failing on both sides. I think she was terrible last night.
I thought it was a horrible
It was an awful appearance.
I mean, could you imagine say, well, we're not going to put troops on the ground, but they're already there.
Yeah, it's like, what if you're there? What do you think then? We are here.
Well, we're never going to put you there again. Yeah. Hello, I'm watching from here.
They're special operators.
But it's not funny because their lives are at risk. And not only that, pulling out of Iraq the way she did and Obama did created the opening, the vacuum for ISIS to rise, and with the financial resources.
And losing Mosul, and now taking back Mosul, and the pain and the suffering. They're finding mass graves in Iraq now, where ISIS just bulldozed bodies that either they hatcheted to death or shot. And that is also part of the legacy of leaving Iraq in this disastrous state. Look, I think hindsight's always 20/20. You can go back and say, gosh, the intelligence was wrong. All these countries had the wrong intelligence. I understand that, but I just think the thing that really came out of this appearance last night for me, Sean, was that she's just given up, I think, defending her record. She can't defend what has happened in the economy under Obama. She can't defend her foreign policy record. She's not really defending Benghazi. She's not defending anything that's happened in the Middle East.
Not one person died in Benghazi or Libya.
Yeah, she cannot defend the record. She can't really argue that things are going to get all that much better. She kept making these veiled references to the VA and, well, we're going to have better technology. Then are you keeping your ideas a secret from Obama? You have all these great ideas and he's just not implementing them? I just think her argument for a better future is just not there. And all it is Trump's crazy, Trump's crazy, Trump's crazy. That's all she has to say.
That's all she has. Yeah. And if you look at Donald Trump, I mean, I think he's had the best 4 weeks of his campaign post-convention. Yeah. And that is, let's see, he went to Baton Rouge. I thought it was smart. I thought he looked presidential with the Mexican president. Side by side, good moment for him. His speech in Detroit, good moment for him. He's doing policy speech after policy speech. He's staying focused on message. If he continues to do it, these polls, I'll put them up on the screen in a minute, show that he's made a lot of progress in the last 3 weeks.
I think so. Nate Silver, who's been wrong about some things, but he's a very interesting analyst on these things. His polls plus average, which he looks at, he takes into account a lot of factors.
He was at 33 yesterday.
Yeah, and he was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Sean, I think he was about 22%. He was really low. So he's definitely
At one point, he had Trump at 58%, so it fluctuates quite a bit.
Well, it has, but this has definitely been a better trajectory for him than for Hillary. And I think he has to keep reassuring people that if you want a job and you want a new economic opportunity, you're going to have more money in your pocket if Trump's president.
The economic statistics are...
Oh, they're devastating.
Devastating.
No.
And I give them out every night. I won't bore the audience here with it now, but lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, lowest home ownership rate.
1 in 6 men out of work
18 to 34 or
age.
incarcerated. 1 in 5 American families don't have one member of the family working.
Whose legacy is that? Are we still blaming George W. Bush for that? Are we who are we blaming for that? This is the legacy of Obama and Clinton on foreign policy and the domestic economy. And Trump just has to go to the electorate and say, look, you might not like my unvarnished style. You might think I'm a little brash. I get that. I'm a New Yorker. But you can't think that this is going to get any better under Hillary Clinton.
She says she's going to continue it.
Yeah, well, that's
all right, let me put up some poll numbers.
Yeah.
Here's a couple interesting things. I think there's 3 numbers to watch very closely. What percentage of the Republican vote Donald Trump's getting? He needs to go up among the base. I would argue those sabotaging him, we'll get to that in a minute, are having some impact. But here's what's interesting. If you look at this new national poll, Boston Herald, Franklin Pierce, Clinton, Hispanics, Trump, 36%. If you look at African Americans, Trump, 19. Now, that number may seem low, but when you compare it to the 4% that John McCain got and the 7% that Mitt Romney got, that is a game changer.
Oh, no. Well, if that's the number he ends up with, it's going to be a massive blowout for Trump. I mean, they have to get the black vote out for Hillary Clinton. Maybe they won't get the same numbers
so she's going to run more
Obama.
Klan ads?
So it's going to be the Klan. You know, it's going to be they're picking on me because I'm a woman. That's the new desperation pass. Talk about a Hail Mary pass. Oh, yeah. Well, they were saying this on Slate.com and all these liberal websites that she's really being unfairly treated because she's a woman. On the one hand, she's the smartest, most talented person. On the other hand, she's like a damsel in distress. That argument just doesn't hold water. How do you call yourself a feminist?
Let's look at the latest Quinnipiac swing state polling. Very close race. Florida dead even. North Carolina, Clinton, although there was a new poll out today that had Trump up by 3. Ohio, Trump up by 1. Look at Pennsylvania, 5-point race. And by the way, 3-point race in Wisconsin.
Iowa, he's up.
Iowa is up. It's close in Michigan, too. But this is tight.
Yeah, this is getting tighter. I think it has to. Well, I think again, I would stay off the side issues that don't matter. I would stay on safety, security, and prosperity.
And change.
And we're going to change
37% upside down number on is the country heading in the wrong direction.
And also that tone that you mentioned he took in Detroit, Sean, where he shared his heart and he shared his...
That was interesting, right?
I think that was his best moment.
If you were Chris Matthews, you'd have a thrill up your leg right now.
Well, right, you know, it's no, I'm not going to go there.
Last question. So he has about 75% of the Republicans voting for him. Is there a cumulative impact of the establishment, the NRO, Wall Street Journal, the Glenn Becks of the world, George Wills of the world, that I would argue even John Kasich's of the world, that are sabotaging the Trump campaign?
I think they're sitting on the sidelines hoping he loses, because then they can wag their finger and say, I told you, he's a vulgarian, he's not an elite like we are, we didn't go to the same schools, or wasn't as smart as we are. This is so tedious, Sean. We know what's at stake.
But they are having an impact, cumulatively,
they are
not
having
individually.
an impact, but I think as Trump continues to prove himself on the trail, they're going to look less and less relevant. I hope everybody reads my piece. Thank you for retweeting it yesterday.
I did yesterday, yeah.
Taking Ted Cruz seriously about voting your conscience, what that means for a conservative.
You know, look, to me, the issues are clear. I mean, on the Supreme Court, what a difference in who he'd appoint versus who she'd appoint. I like extreme vetting and listening to our top national security officials. I like building the wall for national security reasons, so we don't have 95 million Americans out of the labor force.
What's going to be left to conserve in 4 or 8 years? All the conservatives.
Well, but there's more. But then there's Obamacare. Then there's energy independence. All of these issues are significant.
Issues and significant, and the country will be better as a result. Put aside your personal hurt and all the put your big
whining
boy
and complaining
pants on
and picking up your
and do
toys.
what's best for your country. And I hope they do in the end. I don't want to malign them too much, although they've been kind of mean to you and me.
Yeah,
that's the way it goes. I mean,
listen, you know what I'm saying? I said this to Jonah Goldberg and Glenn Beck. If she wins based on your constant barrage of attacks and not telling the story of what the choice is, then they own her. They own her Supreme Court choices.
I don't want to hear complaints from them. Don't complain about Hillary. They should just be honest, though, and come out for Hillary. Come out for Hillary. If Trump is the bad guy, they should actually explicitly come out and endorse Hillary Clinton.
All right, Laura, good to see you.
Good to see you, Sean.